Hmm.
Bananas are brain food, right?
Yes, along with walnuts. Greetings, y'all. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. Greetings, y'all. Hold on one second. I'll be right back. And I'll be right back. Greetings, y'all. Peace. Hello. Let me share this live with others. Greetings, y'all. Thank you for liking live. I appreciate it. Hey, Gift Basket. What is up? How are you? So I'm here with this study, this Bible study for unconventional souls. That's the topic. And I'm going to be reading a pretty interesting story. I encourage you to stay and hear it. All right. This is an unconventional study. So if you come in here looking for something traditional, you might be triggered. So don't stay. Okay. Happy Friday. Hello, hello, hello. I'm going to read this. We're going to talk about it. And then I'm going to read from my book. And then we're going to talk about that. And then we're going to get on our way. We are on day, I think, 21, if you will, with Purify Your Speech. Let me pull it up. We're purifying our speech by the power of intelligence. Greatness 64. By the power of intelligence today. I activate in order to influence bonding wisdom. I seal the process of free will with the electric tone of service. I am guided by the power of intelligence. Ashe. So if you're in my galactic timekeeping group, then you already know what the questions are for today. Plug in and get those. If you are new here, welcome. I need for y'all to tap the screen. I also need for y'all to comment. Okay, so I'm on a path of monetizing my lives, which I'm really enjoying. And I need 999 comments. Not today, not on this live, just in general. So when you feel led to say something, say it. If you have a question, ask it. If you agree and I ask you, say yes. That's all the reason that I'm doing that. So we have about 7 more minutes, and I'm going to, let's just read from my book first and then get into the Bible study, shall we? All right. So my book is entitled Self-Intimacy, A Beginner's Guide to Self-Discovery. You can get a physical copy of it on lulu.com. You can go on Tierra IC profile. Their link page is listed there. You can get it on my website at veronicamarie.com. Okay. All right. Let me pull it up. How y'all doing today? Let's check your link tree. All right, so this is what it looks like. Let me pull it up for you. Self-intimacy. It's a workbook, okay? It's a workbook. All right, and so I want to read from the section on core needs. I am doing really well today. So much better than yesterday, so I give thanks because yesterday was a day. Not emotionally. It was a day physically. Okay. All right. So I'm going to read to you from my book. Let's take a deep breath and breathe, and we enter into this reading with open mind and heart to see what Spirit has to say to us through the words that are being delivered. Okay. Thank you, gift basket. Thank you. Ooh, you hear the sound when that gift is given? Did y'all hear that? It makes a sound. It says, my live goal is achieved. Check the goal and celebrate the moment. Hey. All right, so let's read. Core needs and core desires. The different. Thank you, gift basket. Look at that. Tap, 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 tap. I'm reading from my book. Let's go. Core needs and core desires are the foundation for expectations in many cases. Core needs and core desires are different. The different is the source of energy. Core needs come from lack, greetings, and most likely emotional spaces that have never been filled adequately. This lack could have originated in childhood, most do, and reinforced throughout your life via different life experiences. Now, here's an example. Let's say you didn't grow up in an affectionate home. You may grow up with a longing to experience this, and you might expect your romantic partner to fulfill this need. Consistently, because of that, you find yourself feeling unfulfilled in your relationships. Either your partners start off fulfilling this need and stopped, or they never fulfilled it, but it didn't start off with your partner, okay? So a lot of people blame their partner for not meeting their needs, and right now I'm talking about a core need. That need was most likely not fulfilled long before your partner came along. Relationships have ebbs and flows, highs and lows, and everything in between. So if you have a need, a core need, remember the core need stems from lack. If you have a core need, then when your relationship goes up and down, round and round, you're going to go up and down, round and round. You're going to have a big problem because you are in an aspect of yourself that is residing in lack. Okay, that's a core need. Now, some people grew up with clear communication. Some people grew up with good communication. Not everybody grew up in a home lacking that, okay? So maybe you were used to clear and thorough communication growing up. You felt naturally and deeply heard. Then you entered a romantic partnership with an individual who did not appreciate or welcome your communication. Hey, Christian. You expected them to do the opposite because you grew up with good communication. You expected them to give you good communication. Once you exited that relationship, you realize now that you are having a deep need to be heard because your previous relationship did not fulfill this area as richly as your childhood experience. Grand Rising Bree, that is why I said not all core needs come from childhood. Some do, many do, but sometimes it's the result of your experiences. In other words, your disappointed expectations. So this now became a need, has become a need, right? So you're looking to have it fulfilled. That is an energy of lack. What you're going to need to do is develop some self-intimacy and learn how to fill yourself up in that area so that you are not seeking for it outside, so that when it comes to you, thank you, Bree, when it comes to you, you can enjoy it and not develop codependent situations. When core needs are not met by you, these needs will be reflected in your relationship with others. This leads many people to stay in unhealthy relationships and or sabotage new relationships with demands and emotional turbulence. Sometimes when people have a core need, right, stemming from lack, They stay in connections hoping that the person will change to meet that need. It drives you into a sort of desperation, okay? Sometimes these people exit connections without understanding really what is going on. They blame others. They villainize others. This person didn't meet my needs. My needs were not met. And they go from relationship to relationship telling this same story because this is a core need. A core need is most likely some quality, some experience that you never have experienced since childhood, or you didn't experience in your past relationship or relationships, and you're bringing it forward into your present time. If core needs have never been met within your lifetime, you will feel insecure and easily frustrated with romantic connections. Hey, DJ. You may even move into a deep feeling of being unfit or uninterested in love and relationships. You develop a bad opinion about love and relationships. You may become cynical and untrusting. You may come into relationships feeling like it's too good to be true. Let me get my water. Let me know if this makes sense. Type yes if it makes sense. And I'm going to tell you the difference between the core need and desire. Remember, I started off by saying that a core need is different in frequency than desire. As I know sometimes people listen to this and they go, well, what about relationships? Relationships take effort. Relationships take intention. They do. But the focus of a core need is lack or absence of something. It's telling you that you need some healing. Skywalker, thank you for liking my live. Okay? Thank you, gift basket. The consistent disappointment that comes with not, hey, focus, having your needs met within relationships usually leads to self-isolation. These people who travel around and travel forward with core needs, they're constantly disappointed, so then they want to isolate themselves from people, which creates more lack because they still have the need. They're just not looking for it from other people because they've decided not to interact with other people. I hope you can see how isolation does not solve the problem. Not having your needs met leads to a lack of trust, cynicism, feelings of hopelessness, and disinterest in people. But understand that this really isn't about people. It's really about the way that you interact and treat yourself. So I'm reading from my book, Self-Intimacy. It's on my website. As you read the last section, or as you heard this last section on core needs, what stood out to you? That's the question. And I am going to study the Bible, but I want to read this first. What stood out to you? Somebody asked you the other day, how do your relationships start? I so smiled. Okay, you smiled about that? I like that. As you heard the last section, what stood out to you? Like, just throw something out there. Or what ideas about yourself and others came to mind? Also, what were you reminded of about yourself? So let me give some example, okay? I'm going to wait really quick and see if you want to comment about what stood out. And listen, on my next few lives, I'm going to need 6 people to get in a multi-guest live with me. You don't have to have your camera on. You don't even have to talk. Just sit there and listen. Lack from childhood needs and expectations from others, okay? I used to not ask the hard question and isolate. Even right now, if there's 6 of you who want to come up on the screen and just sit there, you don't have to have your sound on. You don't have to have your video on. There's my invite. 6. It needs to be 6, specifically 6. Okay, so let's continue with an example. When you have a core need to be heard, and I'm going to read about desire, but right now I'm talking about needs. Hey, E. When you have a core need to be heard, you exist. Listen to this. Okay, Gift Basket said yes. Tiara said yes. That's 2. When you have a core need to be heard, you exist within yourself as a being who is unheard. Okay? Hey, good day. I think E is saying yes. 3. Because you believe that nobody has taken the time to hear you, the source of this statement and thought is lack. Nobody has done it. Lack. Thank you, gift basket. Nobody has done it for you. As a result, you may enter your relationships looking for someone to listen and hear you. I emphasize the idea that you exist within yourself as an unheard being. So let's say you get in a connection with someone who actually does hear you. You exist inside yourself in the frequency of a being who is unheard. So they could be hearing you, or they might be able to hear you, but you're going to brace and defend and self-sabotage. That's the result of being with living from core needs. I have number 3 because that's 3 people. I need 6. What is really going on? You do not hear yourself asking to be heard by you. You don't recognize this as your soul speaking to you about what you need from you. So you keep looking for it in others. Let me give you a personal example. And this is very much personal because there was a time in my life that caused me to go into therapy because of this core need to be heard, right? And that was back in 2011, 2012, something like that. Right? And so this need to be heard was me saying to myself, for me, I'm talking about me, was me saying and asking myself, what makes you get in these kind of conversations with people who are not listening? You don't know when people are not open. That's why you keep talking. You don't see the signs of when a person is not open, so you keep talking. I need you to see the signs, self, so you can stop overexerting yourself in conversation with people who are not open. That was a deep pattern in me from childhood. Talking to parents who were not open, trying to state my point when they were no longer listening. You see? So I had to heal through that. So I stopped doing that in relationships. I'm not saying you don't need to be heard. I'm not done with the reading. What I am saying is when you experience significant suffering, like just pain in the gut, suffering, because someone is not hearing you, chances are you have not noticed that they already weren't open. Chances are you overestimated their ability to hear. Chances are your expectations were stepping in and causing you to keep going, igniting your own self, fueling your own dissatisfaction, and you started going beyond your threshold. And I've done that in my life more times than I want to say, because I understand that deep feeling of needing to be heard, wanting them to understand, and they don't even understand. They don't even stand in front of you with openness. They have no stance because they're very involved in their own world, in their own mind, in their own interpretation. So they don't even have space for you. Hey, babe. All right. So that's a core need. It's time for you to stop telling yourself these disempowered things. Nobody hears me. Nobody understands. Well, chances are you have been unable to cultivate relationships with people who actually do because you expend your energy doing this and not listening to yourself. Hello. You can now say, I am deeply heard because I hear and honor myself. Sometimes you hear yourself, but you don't honor it. Yourself tells you, stop talking to this person. Yourself tells you, go share this with someone else who can hear. Yourself tells you to stop, but you keep going. It's time for you to honor yourself. When you see a person is not open, breathe and acknowledge it. Say, right. No, these are not affirmations. I'm reading from my book, but they could be affirmations. Thank you, babe. You need to, when you see a person is not open, stop. Point number 1. Breathe. Point number 2. Say to yourself, I see that they're not open. Number 3, acknowledge it to them. I'm noticing that you are not open. I'm going to pause this live really quick so I can press do not disturb just in case my phone. I'm noticing that you are not open. I'm going to pause this live really quick so I can press do not disturb just in case my phone rings. Okay, let me know when I'm back. You have to remember to breathe. I see this person is not open, and I care about how I feel. I care about how I feel so much that I'm not going to continue talking to them. I care about my feelings so much, I'm not going to continue talking to them right now. Maybe later, but definitely not in this energy. You got to start caring about how you feel. You like to fuss and say, my feelings are valid. What I think is valid. You like to fuss at other people, but you're not honoring that within yourself. That's why you're still going on and on instead of honoring how you feel. Hey, right now I feel flustered. I'm going to have to take a step back. Right now I feel upset. I'm going to have to take a step back. Right now I'm feeling offended. I'm going to have to take a step back. That's how you honor yourself. Acknowledge and honor. Hear and honor. Hear and honor. Hear and honor. You have to decide that you enjoy talking to people who are open. And you have to decide that you're not going to talk to people who are not open. You can ask them, are you open? If they say no, then you got to breathe. And you need a support system of people who are open to you naturally. If you ask them, are they open? And they say yes, but you see they're not open. You know what openness is like. A person who is open to you is not getting defensive. A person who is open to you is not snapping and trying to prove something. A person who is open to you is not in their own head about how you are, etc. A person who is open to you is asking questions. A person who is in openness toward you is also going to breathe and say, I really want to hear what you have to say. You have to start caring about your own feelings, your own emotions, your own words. If you believe that how you feel is valid and valuable, why are you casting it before people who don't want to hear? They want to feel how they feel. They want to think how they think. You know how you know? Because they're not coming up off of it. They're not stopping to see another perspective. They need to think how they think and feel how they feel. And if they're feeling negative, they need to experience the consequences of their negative way of being without you trying to get them to come out of it. No. No, stop it. When you have a core need to be heard because it wasn't met in your life at some point, you are looking for this need to be met through others. And when they don't, you experience intensity. Oh my God. And then you start blaming and villainizing people. Stop it. All right? Say yes if you get that. You have no need to villainize anyone else when you are truly empowered. Hey, Ariel. True empowerment means that you are making decisions for your well-being. And you're not making them out of resentment. Oh, well, they don't listen to me. I'm going to do that. It doesn't sound like that. That's not self-care. That's the opposite of self-care. That's building more resentment. Building more resentment is going to make you more resentful. And then every time that person comes around, you're going to be feeling the result of your resentment, and you're going to be saying it's them. No, it's you. You carry resentment. You build resentment. You are not coming from a truly empowered place because you want someone else to provide something in a need-based relationship. And you always set yourself up for disappointment like that because inevitably humans sometimes are not going to hear you. Sometimes they're going to be caught up. Sometimes they're going to be triggered. Sometimes they're going to be unable. And are you going to suffer every time? God forbid. Okay, so let me read this to you, and then I'm going to go into the difference between core needs and lack, and then we're going to get into this unconventional Bible study. You can now say, because it's true. The thing about affirmations is sometimes you don't believe them, but you're saying them anyway, and that's a start. My desire here, I'm reading from my self-intimacy workbook. You can get it on my website. It's an ebook. You can now say, what you feel, you deeply believe because you see. I wanted to lay that out for you so you could see that it doesn't benefit you to form needs-based relationships, get upset, blame others, and continue in this cycle. I'm trying to help someone break the cycle. You can now say, I am deeply heard because I hear and honor myself. Up until now, I haven't understood my true need to hear myself. As a result, when others didn't hear me, I felt more unheard and experienced more pain. I'm learning that when I hear and honor myself, my vibration shifts away from need and lack. I move away from trying to get others to do this for me. As a result, I become less controlling and less manipulative. I feel lighter. I feel less triggered when I'm communicating with others. And they respond by wanting to hear more of what I have to say. When they are not listening and responding in a way that I desire, I'm still heard and honored within myself. I exist deeply heard and honored in my life because I do this within myself first. I create beautiful connections with people who hear and honor themselves as well. Ashe. Have you ever, now this, as I gave examples about when you feel deeply unheard, but have you ever experienced a person who came to you with this particular way of being and nothing you said could stop them from going in a particular route? And no matter how much, thank you, I love that gift. And no matter how much you explained yourself or tried to break it down or tried to show them this way or that way, they still were very much attached to their own thoughts, own interpretations and such. That's because they have this need, and the need doesn't let them settle down and hear. But they think it's because you're not listening. Sometimes it's been you. Sometimes it's them. Most humans start here. But we don't have to stay. You need to say to yourself, have you ever said to a person, my emotions matter too. My emotions are valid. Most people have. I have. Have you? Say yes if you have. It's a sure sign of a person experiencing disempowered energy. You got to let them be delusional by themselves. Because listen, karma is a consequence. The consequence of them being stuck in their own thought patterns and not coming out is that they can't come out. They have to stay negative. They have to stay resentful. Thank you, Ariel and Omni. They have to stay in their own negative energy. And you should release them into their own negative experience because they are creating it. If they didn't want to create it, somehow, some way, they would breathe and at least say, right now, I can't listen, but I want to. At least. A person who is going down the path of negativity, they're creating it, so they want it. And they will say they don't want it, but they also don't want to listen. So you must want it by default. And when I say want, I don't mean desire it. You don't desire the chaos, but you create it. That's what I'm saying, you want it. You create chaos when you defend. You create chaos when you refuse to hear. You create chaos when you keep trying to prove yourself to people who don't want to hear. You want to create chaos with that. Peaceful individuals are not doing that. They're not in their mind coming up with stories about people and being attached. They are releasing. Peace comes through allowance and alignment. Peace does not come from complaining, fretting, fussing. I'm telling you what I've learned in life. This is not an abstract concept. This is what I know. All right. So the end part is entering a relationship to fulfill your needs. A needs-based relationship will leave you disappointed because inevitably humans do not hear when they're in certain states of mind. Unacknowledged and unhealed core needs will lead you to form unrealistic expectations, which in turn damage the emotional and mental bonds of your relationship. It reinforces energies of lack within your system. Anytime you get in a space where you're blaming someone else for being a certain way and that's why you feel, You have not moved in empowerment. You have moved in disempowerment. This is not judgment. This is me telling you what it is so you can choose differently. Sometimes you're in a disempowered state because you're used to it. Sometimes you're in a disempowered state because the people around you are in that frequency. You think it's normal. Sometimes you're in a disempowered state because it's all you've ever known. Well, I'm telling you that blaming and villainizing others is disempowering because it creates bitterness. It creates resentment. It creates spaces that don't allow you to have peace. Do you have to just put up with things and tolerate things? No, I'm not saying that. You need to make decisions. Let me say this because I keep saying I'm going to end it, but somebody needs this. Let's say you have someone in your life who is not doing something you think they should be doing, because in your world, it does create unnecessary stress, creating your own suffering, right? Let's say you have a person in your life who's not listening. They consistently just dismiss, invalidate, water down things that you say, and they tell you you too sensitive, you think too much, here you go again. They do all of that. Let's say it. You don't have to tolerate it. You also don't have to get offended by it, because understand that this is how this person moves in the world. This is how they move within themselves too. People really won't treat you better than they treat themselves. They really won't. That's true. Okay, so if they have a deep understanding within themselves, even if they react in a human way, they'll come down and be like, okay, see, I understand how that is because I've done that too. Okay, so let's say you have a person in front of you who is very attached to feeling however they're feeling. Number one, you can acknowledge, I don't like this energy. This is what you do inside yourself first. Sharon says, I used to be addicted to chaos, confusion, and drama, but I grew in self-awareness. Yes. And the next step from self-awareness is strategy, right? So here comes the strategy. I don't like this energy. I don't like how it's feeling. I really want to understand this person, but I also want to be understood. And right now, that isn't happening. Breathe. That's the first part. Did y'all get that? I used to too. I used to be pretty savage with it also. And I know if I can shift, anybody can. All right? So, number one, you breathe and acknowledge, because your inner landscape, you're welcome. Your inner landscape is telling you, I don't like this energy. Acknowledge that within yourself before you say anything. It begins inside first, okay? It begins with what you're acknowledging. I don't like this energy. It's not open. I feel myself about to go into over-explaining and proving. I feel myself about to do that, and I don't want to, because that doesn't feel good. So I'm going to breathe, and I'm going to acknowledge what I see. Right now, to me, you don't appear open. And I want to communicate when you're open. So I'm going to A, B, and C. I'm going to get me some water. I'm going to get off the phone. I'm going to stop texting. I'm going to go take a ride. I'm going to take a shower. I'm going to take a nap and reset my energy. See, you didn't blame anyone. You just described what you were experiencing. Right now, it seems that you're not open. If you say, right now, you're not open, they'll say, yes, I am. And now you enter into a debate. It seems like, I'm telling you what I'm experiencing. From this end, when I'm viewing this situation, it seems like you're not open, and I want to talk when you're open. So I'm going to go take a shower. And when you are feeling open, let me know. And then I want to sit down and talk. I don't want to talk to anybody at all. And it doesn't matter who it is, who is attached to something and not interested in hearing me. I no longer do that. Like, it felt so liberating to let that go. And I encourage you to let it go also. Now, let's talk about desire, and then we can get into this Bible study. That makes sense, y'all? How I see myself is not a person who convinces and proves and talks to people who are closed. I don't see myself like that. I see myself as a really good communicator and a reasonable person. And I decided that I want to talk to people who are in a reasonable state of being. I don't need to be heard that bad that I'm going to persist and keep trying and trying and trying. That's where I exist today. I don't need to be heard that much, okay, that I'm going to go into a destructive way of being to try to make it happen when it's not happening anyway and drain myself. I won't do it. I encourage you not to do it also. Breathe. You don't even have to get upset that they're not listening. You don't have to take that personal. You may be tempted to say they don't care, because if they care, well, that's not true. Okay? That's not true. Sometimes people care, but they're triggered, so they don't have space to move in a care energy. I'm not making excuses. I'm helping you. Because when you walk away from a conversation saying that someone doesn't care, you start getting resentful. True or false? Thank you. Hi. How you doing? You start getting resentful. When you walk away with that conclusion, you take the nasty energy with you. And then you think you're going to reset your energy, but you can't, because you have absorbed the frequency of resentment, and it follows you around. And when y'all start talking again, it's going to come back up. I'm trying to help you take care of yourself in a deeper way, in a more functional way. This is a spiritual practice. You have to really see that it does not benefit you to draw conclusions that make you harbor negative energy. So instead of concluding they don't care, because if they did, they would do it. You know that saying that say if they wanted to, they would. Anybody who's saying that, they carry resentment. I guarantee you. Because it's a resentful type of frequency. If they wanted to, they would. Nobody who's saying that feels good. You might not feel super bad, but you don't feel good. That's for sure. And it's telling me that you are not minding. You don't know how you create negativity within yourself and blame others. So what is an alternate conclusion? An alternate conclusion is state what is true. They are not in a space to listen. Now, remember I told you people can only treat you as good as they treat themselves, right? So a person who beats up on themselves for not listening, for saying the wrong thing, for this, they're going to beat up on you too. And if you do that, you're going to do that to other people, right? So if you recognize sometimes, listen, sometimes I'm just not in a space to receive a conversation. This is true. I'm telling you about me. Sometimes I'm not in a space, and I really wish I was in the space, but I'm not. And therefore, I can see how other people get there too. If I let a trigger go too far, then I'm not going to want to listen. I see that this person is in a trigger and went too far, and they can't listen because I know how that is. So I'm not going to withdraw and conclude they don't care, because that's not true. Sometimes you care about people, but you don't have a space for them. Treat others as you treat yourself. That you don't have a choice but to do that. And I know how you treat yourself by how you treat me. Okay? When you go into all kinds of defense and blame, and you don't want to stop and hear, then you do that to yourself. You don't stop and hear. So if I know you don't do it to yourself, why am I going to take that personal? Remember, core needs stem from lack. You need to heal that. Hey, son. All right, so let's talk about desire now, because I like desire. The energy of core desires is, hold on, let me not read that part. I'm going to start here. Core desires, unlike core needs, are not sourced from your past experiences or feelings of lack. Core desires are sourced from your higher self, which is your spirit. You desire to communicate because you came here to. That's a core desire. I desire to have meaningful exchanges with people because I'm here to relate. That's a core desire. You see the difference? A core need is nobody ever listened to me. And finally, you're the only person who ever listened. Now, when I don't listen, I'm going to be back in the group with the other people. Core desire does not come from lack. Core desire comes from your higher self. It's the energy you need, right, in order to evolve. It's not the energy you never had that you need to make you feel worthy or to make you feel significant because you haven't ever felt significant in your life. Do you see the difference? Yes or no? So you might want to get into relationships that align with your desires. When you focus on need, you're trying to fit a square peg in a round hole. When you focus on desire, you say, hey, that's a square, but I'm a circle. I don't want to do it like that. When you have core desire, you say, I'm interested in becoming a circle. And that's a circle, so let's align. A core need is, yeah, I know they're not looking for a circle and I'm a circle, but I could fit if they just understand this. Understanding your core desires will help you to co-create experiences with others that are enriching and satisfying. I'm reading from my recent ebook, Self-Intimacy, well, my first one. This understanding will allow clarity and creative ability to create experiences with people who align or closely align with cultivating intimate space, and it will decrease unsatisfying experiences. Now, some experiences are going to feel unsatisfying, either because you need to shift or the alignment is off or something like that. That happens. But at least you know the difference. Core desire is the way spirit assists humans in this time, space, reality for evolution. Core desires direct us toward experiences that enhance the human soul. Core needs will cause you to form codependent relationships. Core needs will cause you to become insecure. Core needs will cause you to act passively or passive aggressively. Core desire will cause you to align, right? Yes, DJ. Align, and it directs and draws. It attracts us and is attractive to experiences that enhance you. So now, are you going to go in your relationships looking for your needs to be met and fuss that they didn't meet your needs? You need to get to know what your core desires are because you spent a lot of time in need. You have spent a lot of time in lack. You have spent a lot of time telling disempowering narratives, right? It's a sign that self needs something from self, right? It's a sign that you need some inner work. Like in the examples, let's say your parents never listened to you. You didn't grow up in an affectionate household. So you get in your relationships because you want that. Want is lack, right? And I'm not saying that it's bad. What I'm saying is it's not satisfying. And you can look into your own experiences and see how that is true. I'm not trying to convince you. You could just use your own experiences. And let's say you came into a relationship with someone who really did hear you, who really did understand. If you have a core need that isn't taken care of by you, you're still going to say they don't understand. You're still going to lump them in the group with other people. You're still going to self-sabotage because you don't even know what it feels like to be understood. You have no clue because you don't even understand yourself. You've spent so much time in lack. Right? So, core desire. Listen, let me give you some education about spirit and the way desire works with spirit, because this is a spiritual practice, okay? Your spirit is the indestructible, infinite part of you that exists with or without human form. Your spirit is not in the realm of the physical. I was watching a video by KRS-One the other day, and I watched that video over and over and over again. I revisit it throughout the years because it's so profound, okay? So let's do the practice that he proposed in that video, shall we? Can we do that? Do a practice together so we can demonstrate how you are not in this time-space reality, however your body exists here. Okay, so this is what he said. He held up a word. Let me hold up a word. Let's hold up this word. Let's hold up the phrase. He did a word. I'm going to do a phrase. I don't think I got to flip the camera, I think. Hold on. So y'all can actually. Oops. That's not what I wanted. Not a mirror. I want to mirror it. Flip the camera. Mirror your video. Okay. So read that. Oops. Secret origins of the Bible. Like, just read it to yourself. Secret origins of the Bible. Focus on secret. Focus on the word secret. Focus on the word secret. Focus on the word secret. All right. Hold on. All right. So, you got the word secret in your brain, right? Close your lips and say the word secret. Just don't say it with your voice. Don't make vibrations in the air. Just say it. Say it again. Say it again. Did you hear it in your own voice? When you said secret without vibrating the air or vibrating this physicality, did you hear it in your own voice? Yes. Anybody else? He says yes. No, that's not bad. That's good. You heard it in your own voice, and you didn't use vocal cords, so your ears didn't hear that. You heard it. The you that is within, that exists apart from this body, heard that. You are the one that hears. You are not in this physical realm. How I know is because in this physical realm, it takes your vocal cords, air vibrating, and it to hit your ears in order for you to hear something. But you didn't hear it with your ears. You heard it within. You are the one that hears. You are the one that hears the voice. Okay? I wanted to put that out there because that's what I'm talking about. You. When I say you, I'm not talking about this human you that is animated by the inner you. I'm talking about the core you. That's why I often ask you, what are you, not who are you? Because who are you has to do with how you exist in this time-space reality, but you do not exist in this time-space reality, this dimension. You exist in the spirit realm. So when I say you right now, I'm talking about spirit. I'm talking about the one that heard in your voice just now. That's the one, okay? Your spirit is the indestructible. That is the indestructible, infinite part of you that exists with or without human form. Your spirit knows, not in the way that your brain knows, in the way that spirit knows, right? But we're using this word know. But your spirit doesn't know because of your brain. Your spirit exists outside of the brain, with or without the brain. Your spirit knows every energy you will need for evolution in this time-space reality. And this knowing of your spirit brings, attracts, invites, allows the needed experiences into your system. That's desire. The function of desire is to enhance your soul. The function of desire is for you to come into experiences that are meant for evolution. That's desire. Core needs comes from you never being heard. Nobody ever hugged you. Nobody ever listened to you. No one ever paid attention to you. That's a core need. But I'm asking you to shift more and more each day into the practice of living from your spirit. Desire is an energetic, magnetic interest. It's an invitation toward an experience. It is not a bottomless pit that never gets satisfied. That's a core need, as I'm writing about it in my book, or wrote about it rather, because it's written. Desire is the seed of your manifestation. Thus, it is a crucial part of your creative capacity. You want to create fulfilling relationships? Come out of a needs-based paradigm. You want to set up relationships that feel good, that feel fulfilling? Learn how to live from desire versus needs. That's why you very rarely hear me teaching about love languages. Because usually when people are talking about love languages, they're talking about core needs. I need words of affirmation to feel better. If I don't have words of affirmation, I don't feel good. And when you don't give me words of affirmation, but you might act in gifts or acts of service, I still don't feel loved because my core need is words of affirmation and you didn't give me any today, or for a week, or 2 weeks. Or you're mad right now, so you don't feel like speaking words of affirmation. Now I feel really bad. I feel like you don't love me. That's the result of core needs. Now, if you really enjoy words of affirmation, number one, you're going to align with people who give it naturally. They're going to be attractive to you. And you're going to cultivate with them. And not only that, if they go into a space where they don't do it, you're not in lack, right? You may turn on YouTube and get words of affirmation and draw yourself into an affirmative experience, and you're fine. Have you ever been in a relationship where you really was doing your best, like giving all the things that you could, because you wanted to, and the person still said, yeah, but you didn't do this, and you didn't do that, and they really are having a hard time because of it? It's a core need. But this is not something you're going to be able to tell people about themselves, because they're likely going to attack you or say you attack them. They're likely going to blame you. But I want you to understand this about yourself. That's why this book is called Self-Intimacy. You can get it on my website at veronicamarie.com. If you want a physical copy, Tiara IC, who is in the audience right there, has the physical copy link on their profile link tree. Listen, without desire, there's no motivation to shift or grow in any way. You stay stuck complaining and begging for something. You grow to see yourself as disempowered. Without desire, we become complacent and dull. our energy feels stagnant. Without desire, we move into lack. Lack of vision, lack of direction. Desire is the energy of inspiration, the internal drive to have an experience. It is the potent energy of why we do things that lead to experiences that we enjoy. The initial energetic hit of desire comes from spirit, not lack. It may be a creative nudge, an exciting idea, a feeling inside like, ooh, I want to do that. Lack sounds like, I've been wanting to do that for such a long time, and I never had an opportunity, so I'm going to do it. Desire is, I want that experience. Ooh, two different energies, okay? Once you pay attention to spirit-given information, desire, your attention interacts with it, enhancing and adding depth to the desire. You begin to enhance the desire as you put your attention on it. Just like when you put your attention on your need, you enhance the pain. Desire gives you feelings of inspiration. Needs not being met will give you feelings of not being heard, not being seen, not. The desire you experience has an energetic charge, making it attractive to people. Think about a person who is telling you, you ask them something, whatever, and they go, I really enjoy dialogue, as opposed to, oh, I really wish I could have some dialogue. People around me, they don't even know how to talk. I enjoy beautiful conversation. I'm talking from my own desire. I enjoy dialogue, meaningful dialogue. Meaningful dialogue. I enjoy that, right? What is it that you enjoy? A person who is in this desire type of energy is magnetic. They're attractive. You begin to want to align with them in some kind of way. Let me go over there and see how I can get in this conversation or something. Right. Usually a person who is fussing and blaming and defending, they don't look attractive if you have a desire that does not exist on that frequency. That's why I said the frequency is attractive, right? Hey, Rolf. So listen. As we allow our attention to nurture the desire, we begin to have more thoughts paired with emotion. This helps us tap into the vibration of desire before we experience the manifestation of it. Before it appears, you are already a vibrational match to it. You're sitting there feeling really good, just talking about what you enjoy, and then here comes a person, sits down, and voila, we're in it. Desire is the knowing of your spirit. Desire is real. Desire is part of the evidence of things not seen. In other words, your desire represents the raw energy of your manifestation. Raw energy is real and a necessary first step in conscious creation. The things and situations you desire already exist in the realm of the spirit, the experience. You could close your eyes and within yourself, the self that is not physical, and your non-physical self, if you close your eyes, you can experience whatever it is you want to experience. Do you know that, right? That's the beginning of the manifestation. But if you're experiencing lack within yourself and you're looking for it and it's not coming and you're getting upset and frustrated and impatient and resentful and all of this stuff, now you're a vibrational match to more of that. Imagine you're a person who really enjoys having fun, because that's your core desire, fun, let's say. Now, let's say I'm a person who never has fun and I really want to have fun, but I don't believe that people want to have fun. I'm in that energy. You're going to come along, right? And say, "Hey, let's go skating." And I'm going to say, "No, I don't want to go skating. It's hot outside, blah, 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 blah." "Oh, okay. Let's go bowling. I'm ready. I'm going to go bowling." "Oh, I hurt my arm and my arm, da, 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 da. But I want to do something fun. Oh, let's go to the park. Oh, it's mosquitoes at the park. But I want to have fun." You're going to do stuff like that. That's a very simple analogy, but you get the point, right? And I'll stop right there. So I was just reading from my book. It's called Self-Intimacy, Missing Opportunities. Yeah. Maybe you're attached to the way you think fun looks and you don't want anything but that, and it's not there, and so you don't want to try other things. That's another example. So I want to read to you an interesting story. Let me stop, and can we all, if you were listening and that made sense, type yes or ashe or amen or it is so. Could you do that? This story is really interesting. You want to stay for this. I'm about to read from the Bible. It's one of my favorite unconventional stories. Okay. I'm entering now the part of the live where I offer an unconventional Bible study for unconventional souls. Okay. If you are a staunch Christian, this is not a good place for you. You might feel triggered. But if you enjoy listening to different stories and kind of putting a different perspective on it, then this is going to be a treat for you. Okay. I'm going to read from 1 Samuel, the 28th chapter. I'm just going to read it. Okay. If you have eyes, see. If you have ears, hear. Ashe. All right, so here's the backdrop. 1 Samuel 28th chapter. In those days, the Philistines gathered their forces to fight against Israel. Achish said to David, "You must understand that you and your men will accompany me in the army." David said, "Then you will see for yourself what your servant can do." At this time, David is a warrior. So let me read that again. In those days, the Philistines gathered their forces to fight against Israel. Achish said to David, "You must understand that you and your men will accompany me in the army." And David said, "Then you will see for yourself what your servant can do." Achish replied, "Very well, I will make you my bodyguard for life." Okay. Now, Samuel was dead. Samuel was the person, the priest, was the priest. Okay. Now, and at this time, Saul was king. Okay. David was a warrior, not yet king. Saul was the king. Samuel anointed Saul, but Samuel is no longer alive. Now Samuel was no longer alive, and all Israel had mourned for him and buried him in his own town of Ramah. Saul had expelled the mediums and the spiritists from the land. Y'all following? Yes? Did that backstory make sense? Saul is the king. David is a warrior. He's been invited into the army. David is like, "Yeah, let's go." All right. And Samuel, the priest, is no longer alive. Israel has already mourned for him, and he's buried. Okay. And at that time, Saul had expelled the mediums and spiritists from the land. That's important. Okay. The Philistines assembled and came and set up camp at Shunem, while Saul gathered all of Israel and set up camp at Gilboa. When Saul saw the Philistine army, he was afraid. Terror filled his heart. He inquired of the Lord, but the Lord did not answer him by dreams, the Urim, or the prophets. Do you know what the Urim was? I want to look this up in front of you because sometimes people think you make things up. Do you know what the Urim and the Thummim was? Thummim. Remember, this is an unconventional Bible study, and I'm reading from the Bible. I'm just asking you, do you know what that is? Saul is scared, and he sought the Lord, and the Lord ain't come to him through no dreams, no Urim, no prophet, nothing. So let me read. I just typed it in Google so you can know. The Urim and the Thummim were ancient priestly devices used by the Israelites for obtaining divine guidance. They are traditionally understood to mean lights and perfections. They were kept in the high priest's breastplate, which also contained the names of the 12 tribes of Israel. The Urim and the Thummim were used during critical moments in Israel's history when special divine direction was needed. In other words, it's a divination tool. Okay? Let me read it from right here. The Urim and the Thummim are elements of the Hoshin, the breastplate worn by the high priest attached to the ephod, a type of apron or garment. The pair are frequently used in the Old Testament, Exodus and Leviticus, through God's instruction to Aaron on how to adorn his breastplate worn in the holy place. In 1 Samuel, by King Saul, it's used to determine who was at fault for breaking the army's fast. And Ezra's 2nd chapter to determine whether those who claimed to be descendants of the priests of Israel were truly of that class. The Urim and Thummim are sometimes connected by scholars with kleromancy, with divination by casting lots. Although it's equally likely that no casting was physically done, and the participants of the lights and perfection waited for a sign to answer a question or reveal the word of God. Okay? So, it was a divination tool. Let's see what it says, right? Because traditionally, I have said that it was crystals, but we're going to read right here because we don't want to just regurgitate information. I don't. So let's look it up. It was sacred stones. The Urim symbolizes lights, and the Thummim represents perfection or truth. The exact nature of Urim and Thummim is unclear. Some scholars suggest they may have been used for divination as a means for divine communication. Well, we just read that it was. But the nature of it, whether it was a crystal or not, I don't know. So I'm not going to say that. But it was stones. Okay? I'm not going to say what it was because I don't know. But we understand the point is that it was a divination tool. Okay? That was not uncommon. Okay? They usually, when they couldn't get a sign, right? When they couldn't get a sign, they would resort to divination, right? But the sign is a sort of divination anyway. But let's continue. All right. Now, Saul had expelled all the mediums and the spiritualists out. Okay? The point that we want to focus on, because we don't know for sure what it was. We don't know. So I don't like to talk about what I don't know. But what I do know is that it was a divination, right? Okay. All right. So now Saul had casted all the mediums and stuff out, and he was just going to rely on Samuel. But Samuel is gone now. Okay. Saul then said to his attendants, "Find me a woman." Not a man, a woman. Find me a woman who is a medium, so I may go and inquire of her. Now, he could have said, find me a man or a woman, or find me a man. I just find it interesting that Saul said, find me a woman. And I didn't say, find me myself, because, you know, I talk like that. I'm from New Orleans. This is what the Bible said, find me a woman, so I may go and inquire of her. In other words, I want to find out. I need this divination done, because my Urim and my Thummim, it ain't working. It's too much. So somebody replied, there is one in Endor, they said. All right. Now, Saul had already cast the women out. So here's what they're going to do. I'm going to stop right here. Is this interesting to y'all? It's unconventional. I love it. The Urim and the Thummim, the sacred stones, they wasn't given no right divination. Okay? So he said, find me a woman so I can go ask her. Because I done sent them out. You got to go find them now, right? There's one in Endor, they said. So, now listen. They're not supposed to be seeking these women. So, how he know that there's one in Endor? I'm just asking a question. Okay, so Saul disguised himself. Oh, we're going to act in hypocrisy here. Saul disguised himself, putting on other clothes. And at night, he and two men went to the woman. So in the daylight, you're going to act like you got to seek the Urim and the Thummim. But now, because you done casted them all out and you don't want people to see, you disguised yourself to go see that woman in Endor, okay? Listen. Look what he said. So Saul disguised himself, putting on other clothes, and at night he and two men went to the woman. Consult a spirit for me, he said, and bring up for me the one I name. There's a word for that. It's called necromancy. He didn't just want to ask her a question. He wanted to call somebody up from the dead. Who? Samuel. So it gets better, because somebody might say, well, Saul was evil, but I want to talk about Samuel in a minute, because Samuel was the priest. And then I got some questions. Listen. But the woman said to him, surely you know what Saul has done. He has cut off the mediums and the spiritists from the land. Why have you set a trap for my life to bring about my death? In other words, why are you playing with me? You think I'm going to tell you yes so he could kill me? What is this? She don't even know she talking to Saul about Saul. And here he is. Child, look. Listen. Saul swore to her by the Lord. Right, stop playing in my face. Saul swore to her by the Lord. You're going to swear to the medium, the spiritist, the necromancer by the Lord. You're just going to do anything by the Lord. As surely as the Lord lives, you will not be punished for this. I thought God commissioned you to do that. So now you could take over and change it? You could do that? Oh. Listen. Then the woman asked, whom shall I bring up for you? Bring up Samuel, he said. I'm going to pause right there. So we know in the Old Testament, it is said that there was no heaven, right? Because the heaven didn't come about until Jesus. So all the people in the Old Testament, they say, was held in Abraham's bosom. Regardless, she could call Samuel out of it. Samuel was the priest. And not just any priest. The one who anointed the first king. Does this make sense? The woman said, who you want me to call? Now, get Samuel on the main line. In fact, call him up. All right? But listen. So they like to say, based upon a story in the New Testament, that there's a chasm between heaven and hell and you can't go back and forth across it. In other words, they've said that to discredit spiritists and such, and to discourage you from using it. You can't do it. You're not calling the actual person, you're calling a demon. That's what they said. But at the same time, this spiritist right here could call up Samuel, and it's in the Bible, and they don't call him a demon. Let me continue to read. The woman saw Samuel, and she cried out at the top of her voice and said to Saul, why have you deceived me? You are Saul. So in other words, she had called up, she saw Samuel. She did it. And realized that it was Saul. She was mad. Why have you deceived me? You are Saul. The king said to her, don't be afraid. What do you see? In other words, don't worry about me. Worry about you. What you see? And the woman knew it because she saw Samuel the priest. Samuel was likely the one that gave them the direction to send the spiritists and the mediums out. When she saw Samuel, she realized it was Saul. Okay? The woman said, I see a ghostly figure coming up out of the earth. What does he look like? He asked. An old man wearing a robe is coming up, she said. We get a sneak peek into a necromancy session. Pulled him up on FaceTime. Then Saul knew it was Samuel, and he bowed down and prostrated himself with his face to the ground. And Samuel said to Saul, why have you disturbed me by bringing me up? Samuel is so mad because he said he was resting and minding his business. And why have you disturbed me? He didn't say, why did you let this evil woman pull me up? He didn't say why you went to the spiritist and the medium. He didn't reprimand Saul and said, you have done a dirty thing before the Lord. He didn't say none of that. He said, why have you disturbed me? I'm just saying. I'm just saying. Right. He didn't say, what are you doing talking to these exiled women? He said, why you disturbed me? I am in great distress. Right. I was chilling and you done brought me in this frequency that I don't like because I left here already. And I said I wasn't coming back. Now that's my ad lib. All right. I'm in great distress, said Saul. And I'm going to have to go in a minute. The Philistines are fighting against me, and God has departed from me. He no longer answers me, either by the prophets or dreams. So I have called on you to tell me what to do. And Samuel said, why do you consult me now that the Lord has departed from you and become your enemy? Still, he didn't say, why did you consult this spiritist? They having a conversation like the woman is not even there. In other words, oh, you want to come to me now that the Lord ain't answering you. The Lord has done what he predicted through me. The Lord has torn the kingdom out of your hands and given it to one of your neighbors, to David, because you did not obey the Lord or carry out his fierce wrath against the Amalekites. He didn't say because you sought the spiritists. He said because when you was in war, you didn't do what you was supposed to do, and that's why. The Lord will deliver both Israel and you into the hands of the Philistines, and tomorrow you and your sons will be with me. The Lord will also give the army of Israel into the hands of the Philistines. And immediately Saul fell full length on the ground, slap on the ground, filled with fear because of Samuel's words, and his strength was gone, for he had eaten nothing all that day and all that night. And when the woman came to Saul and saw that he was greatly shaken, she said, look, your servant has obeyed you. Look, I obeyed you. I took my life in my hands and did what you told me to do. Now, please listen to your servant. Listen to me and let me give you some food so you can eat and have the strength to go on your way. Look, I did what you said and you're not going to die here. Let me give you some food. Get up and eat and drink and get on your way because this is too much for me. She said, look. He refused and said, I will not eat. But his men joined the woman in urging him, and he listened to them. He got up from the ground and sat on the couch, and the woman had a fattened calf at the house, and she butchered at once. She took some flour, kneaded it, baked bread without yeast. Then she set it before Saul and his men, and they ate. And the same night they got up and left. Ashe. That is it. More roots. You want to sit there and eat the woman food now. That she be sacrificing to the... She said, look, your servant obeyed you. Now, get up off this floor because you acting like this. And I don't need them telling everyone that you was here. So get up, eat, take your men, and go. And that is it. That's the end of the Unconventional Bible Study for Unconventional Souls. How y'all doing? I gotta go. I have like 5 minutes. Ashe. If you have eyes, see. If you have ears, hear. Now listen. Don't use this to go tell somebody else. You don't even know what's in it. Don't take that energy, because that's not the energy I gave it to you in. I gave you this in the energy of information for your own upliftment. I did not give this to you to go use it against someone. I didn't give it to you to use as a weapon when someone else comes against you and you say, you don't even know your own Bible. That's not the energy here. The energy here is, I really enjoy this story. You're welcome. It was for you. I really enjoy this story. I really enjoy the Bible. I really enjoy spiritual practices. I really enjoy teaching and sharing with you. And so take it and be full. Take it and be uplifted. And use it to uplift someone else, not tear somebody else's belief down. Really quick, yesterday I was at Starbucks. And, my hair was wild and I was looking a particular way. And to make a long story short, there was a guy out there who was a Christian and he began to talk to me. And we had this really good conversation. And started saying, see, as long as you don't do this, and as long as you don't do that, and I was like, listen, I do everything that you just mentioned, okay? I do everything that you just mentioned, but that has nothing to do with this conversation. And so we just had a really good exchange. And he said that it was demonic, this, and that people who do this wouldn't be blessed and all of this stuff. And I didn't take it personally because he's not talking about me. You don't need to take the stuff that people say personally. You don't need to defend. The Bible doesn't need defense. It has endured for however many long years since the first century, second century, 2,000 years or so. It's going to be okay by itself. Allow Spirit to guide people where they need to go. And if they're open, share. This guy yesterday was very open. He was open to hearing me, and I was open to hearing him. And I said to him, this is what I said. I think that you need to continue teaching what you're teaching, because I feel the conviction coming from you of it. And that is necessary for your life path. You should teach it. You should talk. And the fact that you came and talked to me tells me that you're on the right path, right? Because that means you feel strong enough within yourself to share. And I feel strong enough to dialogue. And nobody's disagreeing, nobody's offended, nobody's against, nobody's getting mad. We simply have ideas and we shared them. And when I left the conversation, at the beginning of it, he was inviting me to an event, but at the end he said, right. At the end, he was inviting me at first, but at the end, he was like, I don't think it's a good idea for you to come to my event, something like that. And I said, I agree. I say. And we parted ways. And what he said was, usually people get mad at me. He was braced and ready. I pulled out my Bible because I wanted to show him something that I was reading. He said, oh, wait, I could pull out mine. You got your... I said, this is not a competition. I was just trying to show you what I was reading today. But it's okay. Let's put the Bible away. I'm not trying to debate you. What you read, what you feel, where you're convicted is purposeful. It was purposeful to me when I needed it. So I know you're going to encounter someone else who needs it too. And I dare not stop it. And that's it. So that's why I'm saying, I'm trying to let you know, I'm not giving you this in the energy of debate, of war, of separateness, them and you. I'm giving you this in the energy of enjoyment, of pleasure, and allowing. I say. All right, that's it. So thank y'all for hanging out. If you need or want my new book, you can get it on my website at veronicamarie.com. I actually have a few of them there. And another one coming up pretty soon. Also, I'm going to relaunch. I do this every couple of years. I'm going to relaunch my life coach training. So if you ever wondered, how can I get more involved in helping people? Or how can I create more income and not clock in to a job? I've been doing this ever since I got certified in 2013. Yeah, the end of 2013. And it's 2025. I think I got a lot of things to offer. So if you've been thinking about it and you want some actual training, the link is in my link tree. Fill out the form and I'll get back to you. And that is it. Have a good day. Bye-bye.